Here we go. Hi, welcome to the RAMS Agents Production Coaching Call. The goal of the call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeat and referral closings by implementing referral agent mastery system into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Very good.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. Who's got some good news they'd like to share?
I'm supposed to have a closing today.
That's good news.
That's always good news, huh?
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us, where did this one come from?
This is a repeat client, and in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Long-term repeat client? Like, is this one
Yes.
of your investors or yeah?
Yes. Uh-huh.
All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, you do a lot of the investor work. If somebody on the call was listening and they wanted to start working with investors, what do you recommend they do?
Well, definitely get to know your investors because I get a lot of inquiries from investors, but I only choose to work with a certain uh, investor that is going to be willing to work with me long term. And I guess not somebody that's just fishing. So that's really important. If there's an investor that really appreciates your service, and especially if they're newer, maybe in the investing world, and you have experience in it, then that's a great way to give them value so that they can get their foot in the door with investing. And that's kind of how I've built my relationships is just meeting people that are interested in investing and maybe don't really know how to get started and just helping them along the way buy multiple properties over the years.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions here. So, your best investor, how many homes have they bought through you?
If I had to guess, probably around bought and sold probably around 12, but they have also referred probably another 10 people to me. So not only are they a great repeat client, they also are like a raving fan, my biggest fan that sends a lot of people to me.
Have you ever tracked how many total transactions have come then from this investor? You said they've done 12 personally, but then they've referred 10 others. Like, have you ever added it up? Like, how many properties did the other 10 buy or sell?
I have not officially added that up, but just a guesstimate would probably be another 10 to 15 properties.
So 2025 closings happen from this one relationship, from this one investor.
Yes.
How long have you known him?
I would say close to 15 years, at least 12.
So about 1 to 2 closings a year are directly attributed to this one person in this one relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty cool. Now you mentioned that you have a qualification for the type of people that you want to allow into your world that are investors. What kind of people do you not want in your world as an investor? Maybe that'll be a little more clear, create some clarity.
Well, no, investors are notorious for, of course, they want, their proceeds. That's what it's all about, is how much money are they going to make out of this deal? Because that's what they do for to make money. And so they're notorious for trying to get you to cut your commission and trying to cut angles in some of them, not all of them, of course, but before you ask me to cut my commission, please at least work with me first and show me that you're going to be a repeat person. Not that I will cut my commission, I'm not saying that. Just if they right off the bat just say, "Hey, I'll work with you if you'll cut your commission to this." So that's one thing that I've learned that if they do that right off the bat, then it's just going to probably get worse from there. Another thing is responsiveness. So if you are presenting properties to them and then all of a sudden they ghost you because they're not really interested or they are working with a whole bunch of different other real estate agents and I think that if you can develop a relationship more one-on-one and meet them in person, there's a lot of investors out there that are remote and it's harder to develop that relationship with. I've tried. Um, I get texts weekly from investors saying, "What do you have in your inventory that you can share with me?" But I'm going to share that inventory with my investor that I know personally first before I would share it with any of them.
Very good. Um, uh, how, I'm sure somebody thinking about, hey, I want to get into the investor world. They're curious, how would you meet investors? Like, so you said investors are reaching out to you all the time. How do you recommend somebody trying to start working with investors get out and actually meet investors? How do they put themselves in that
Mhm.
world?
Social media is a great way to just promote yourself and share that the possibilities of being an investor and that really anybody can do it. You can have a full-time job, you can be in a profession like medical, be an attorney, any of those kind of professions and be an investor as well. So social media, and then there's other just groups online. There's groups in person. I think Blake is also a great resource for this, that he was an investor before he was a realtor. And I don't know what realtor you use. You could share your kind of side of that, but
Yeah, so that's a good question that Mike had there. I I was an investor for a good while before, and I had met my first realtor that I worked with through BNI, through my networking group in BNI. But I worked with a number of realtors, but my primary realtor, we ultimately ended up being business partners, and we bought a lot of real estate together and had a real good run. And we're still very good friends. And we're actually looking at the possibility of a co-listing together. So that's pretty cool. Um, I think a good way to meet for an investor to meet realtor agents is to go to a meetup, which are pretty common now in the investor world. Um, and you can find them really just, I suppose, I've never actually started to just search for one because I happen to, just like Angela, be in circles that I get invited to them. But there's usually in almost every town. I mean, it doesn't have to be a real big city. It could be just a small city. There's going to be some group of investors or investor-minded people that get together from time to time. Maybe they have a dinner at the, for lack of a better word, the Shoney's restaurant every first Monday or something, or first Tuesday of the month or something like that. And if you can find that, then you go to it and you'll meet some realtors or you'll get referrals to realtors.
That's good stuff, Blake. I like that. um, but Angela had mentioned the idea of attorneys and doctors, other people who probably have a high income. That'd be an interesting marketing approach as well, to go out and um, cold introduce yourself to people who have a lot of disposable income and ask them if they've considered investing in real estate. You could call them up and talk to them, walk in their office, talk to them. You don't want to disturb them too much, but and you could also invite them to, say, a webinar or a seminar where you're talking about how to become an investor and what the potential returns are, give some example properties. Like, there could be a lot of ways to introduce yourself into this world, because Angela was saying she was kind of leaning towards the value she could bring to somebody who is new to investing. That's why I start kind of thinking along that path. Um, Interesting idea. Angela, we started with you. Would you want to work with more investors? Or are you happy where you're at? What's the plan with investors?
So, I am definitely open to working with investors, but again, and maybe, so what you said kind of made me think about it. Maybe it's that investor that's very seasoned and maybe doesn't really need your expertise or your guidance because most of my investors are professionals in another field. And so they rely on me. They're very busy. They're very, a lot of them are, the majority of them are very busy. And so I'm a part of their business plan. So if you have an investor that is has more time, does it full time, they're really just going to rely on you to give them inventory. And whoever gives them the inventory first, they won't be necessarily um, going to use you to list the property. They won't necessarily use you, when they really need somebody. So I think in the future, the question was, would I work with investors again? I love helping people that have dreams about investing in real estate and building wealth through real estate. And so when I meet any buyer or any seller, I always have that conversation with them. And if they have any interest in that, then I'll go into more detail. So um, yeah, totally open to working with investors, but again, they want to work with if they want to work with me. So long term.
You just brought up a great point, Angela. Reaching out to people in your PCSOI, people you already know, and saying, hey, have you considered investing in real estate? Because they may think of you as just the agent who helps people buy and sell primary home or their owner occupied home. And they may not recognize or realize that you could help them invest in real estate as an investor for cash flow or other reasons. One of the questions I have for you is the people that you're helping, these professionals, do they tend to do a lot of flipping of properties or do they do more buy and hold?
Mostly buy and hold, but interestingly, a lot of the people that have been buying and holding for a while are now into more of the flipping phase. Um, but one example is I recently helped a young buyer, professional, buy a house that was very unique on basically a main street of a little downtown in a small town. And we talked about it, and I always share in my presentation, the possibility of long-term wealth through real estate. And when we talked about it, and I was advising him, well, this is an interesting location, for resale. Think about he's like, well, there's so many opportunities with this. It could be a bed and breakfast, it could be a VRBO, it could turn commercial one day. So he was thinking that direction, and he's the type of person that I could see in a couple of years saying, I want to go out and buy a ranch. Let's turn this into something else. And, so that's kind of the mindset of that investor that can see more than just, okay, and it's okay for somebody to buy one house and live in it for 20, 30 years. That's fine too. But the investors are where you're going to get that repeat pretty often, almost at least once or twice a year, property that they're wanting to buy or sell or something.
Couple of quick things I was that I like that you said that I was impressed with. One, I liked your phrase that you said, I want to be part of their business plan. I want to be part of their business plan. I think that's a great phrase that you should continue to use, write down, bring up to anybody you meet new. I want to be part of your business plan. It shows that you're not just a one-hit wonder. You're not just going out there to try to make a quick deal. You're trying to help them create this long-term wealth plan. And I think that someone who's a high earner, who's looking to invest in real estate on the side, they're going to really be attracted to that concept. That you've been living it, and I'm just thinking of the marketing or the explanation side of it. to someone of how you fit. You're the piece of the puzzle that's a long-term player. You're part of their business plan to keep this thing running on the side for them, especially for your buy and hold people. And then you mentioned that some of them are getting into flips. It's probably because the market shot up so fast over the last 5 years that they start looking at the flip side. And if the market slows back down, I assume they're going to get back into the long-term buy and hold strategy because it's harder to flip when the market's not being erratic. So that's one that made a lot of sense to me. And I already forgot the second. But anyway, I really like your approach here to the investors because it's the repeat, right? Oh, I know what it was. I was going to give another example of another agent that I have a coaching call with later today. And he worked with a chiropractor. I think I've shared this story before, but it was basically another one of these people who had a high income. This guy ended up building out, not just being a chiropractor, but building out a bunch of different chiropractic offices. And so he's entrepreneurial minded and he's got a lot of cash flow going. And with our agent, he started buying up real estate, not only his primary home, which he's purchased multiples of, but got into investment property as well, these long-term buy and hold strategies. So there's definitely a niche there that if somebody's interested in, they could dive into. And Angela is a great example of that. You've been working with investors for a long time.
Yes, and that was not my goal. I never said I want to work with investors, but I wanted to be an investor. And I think what you focus on and what you think about and what you talk about is going to attract that type of person. And it just has, because when somebody talks about it, I get excited and I'm like, yeah, I'd love to help you. So
Quick question. This is RAMS, our group referral agent mastery system. We have kind of a strategy and a plan for going out to our PCSOI, staying in touch with them. How are you staying in touch with these investors over time? Are you dropping them into the same program, the RAMS type program, where you're reaching out with the same information you're reaching out to homeowners that are owner occupied homeowners, or do you do something different for the investors?
Good question. So I do everything the same that I do for my regular PCSOI because they are my PCSOI. Like I said, they're not just leads or people that would be a different category. So I treat them like my PCSOI. They're friends. I care about them. But the one extra thing that I do is I have searches say them in MLS. And because they are busy and just about every day I'll do a quick search on what's new that came on the market. And if I see a property that I know exactly kind of what they're looking for, if I see something that they might be interested in, then I can text it over to them and just say, hey, this one came on the market. What do you think? So that's something I
Really,
do.
and you mentioned something, I'm sorry, kind of broke up, so I just want you to say it again. You have something in the MLS. What did you call that? It's some kind of search or search and save
A
or
saved search. So
save
I
search.
set up a saved search and you can set it up to where it emails them directly, which for some people that works great. But for a lot of my investors who are too busy to look at that routinely, then I set it up to go to me. And every morning I set it up to get it every morning. Not like you can set it up so it'll email you immediately when it goes on the market, once a week, in the morning, in the evening. I set mine up in the morning. And that way, every morning I can go in and see what came in on the market yesterday and send that over to them.
Right? And if it meets their buy box, you give them a ring and say, "Hey, here's what's going on." I like that you're sending it to yourself. It's a lot more work, but you're sending it to yourself rather than directly to them, because if you send it directly to them, they might bypass you and go directly to the property. This way, you're the source of the information, providing it to them. You're getting into a conversation with them about it. Um, if we were helping an owner occupant, say buy a house, we might set up this same search, but it would be a very short period of time that we would do that, right? a day, a week, a month, maybe a couple months at the most, and then they would find a property, and then that would be the end of it. You've got this continuous cycle where you're constantly out there searching, bird dogging, if you will, properties for them to find them something, to be that source, that first point of contact for new properties that are coming in. How often, when these investors are buying, are you the one that brings up the property versus they bring up the property?
Mm-hmm. Uh, it is usually about 75% I bring it up and 25% they bring it up.
Right.
They are still searching. I mean, they're passionate about it, so they're going to be online looking at stuff too. And they might see something that maybe I kind of discounted. But there's a lot of strategies on uh, properties and how to find properties, I suppose. But I do work with some wholesalers, so sometimes the inventory will be from a wholesaler or an off-market property. I have a search set up for sell by owners. It's rare, but I have sold for sell by owner to investors that, they needed to sell. So I have all kinds of searches set up, and I've learned really quickly how to just go in and look at it. And I don't do it every day, but I try to if I can. It takes me like 5 minutes, so.
I've got one final question that I think a lot of people might be curious about. You brought it up earlier, so I'm going to ask the question. When you're working with investors, are you receiving a different compensation than you do when you're working with an owner occupant? Do not tell me the actual percentages, but you could tell me if A, it's different, and if B, if it is different, like what the percentage difference is, and then everybody else can kind of figure out from their own pricing structure what they may have to change. Do you understand the question?
Mhm. Well, I will say this is that I offer all of my clients two marketing plans. And the investors traditionally take the lower marketing plan, where the owner occupant will or owner buyer will usually take the higher plan.
The difference in the compensation to you between the two plans, again, don't tell us what the amount is that you charge the person, but the difference between the two, what's the percentage? For instance, is one half of the cost of the other? Is one 10% less than the other? 80% less? Can you give us kind of a ballpark that we can kind of try to get an idea of what's going on there?
So it's all negotiable, but traditionally, a 0.5%, sometimes 1%.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. Anybody else have any other questions for Angela about investors before we move on?
I'm not sure if you touched on this and I missed it, but the investor that you already did 12 deals with, how did you get in touch with them?
Great question, Tristan. So, PCSOI, it was a referral. A referral from a good friend of mine. They work together, and I'm not even in contact with that person that referred him to me. I haven't talked to him in 10 years, but yeah, so it was a referral.
Well, that shows the power of making sure you let everybody know in your PCSOI that you can help them with, and you can help their friends and family and connections. Not only make sure they know you can help them buy and sell a home, their own property to live in, but that you can help them with investment property. Um, do you do that, Angela, when you're marketing? Do you make sure that everybody in your PCSOI knows that you help investors?
I don't do a good job of that. No, I could definitely do a better job. Um, so when I talk to people one-on-one, I think everybody in my PCSOI, my small piece PCSOI, maybe not my big social media PCSOI, but um, they all know that I'm an investor and I work with investors. But could I do a better job in my marketing? Yes, I could.
Good. Um, yeah, maybe just a quick note when you're sending out whatever marketing you're doing that, hey, I can help you buy a home, I can help you sell a home, and I can help you invest in real estate.
Now I do have it on my business card. Um, yeah, and I have it on things. So maybe I do a better job than I'm giving myself credit for, but I would say that most people would know that I help investors and I work with investors and am an investor.
Here's
But
another quick idea. Not only tell them, but show them. So for instance, we do just listed, just sold postcards as an example. Maybe you send out a marketing, I always talk postcards. That's the way I think in marketing. You send out some kind of marketing piece that shows an investment that they could purchase, right? Like you list an investment property. Let's just make it real simple. It's just a house, but it's been a rental house. And you do a marketing piece that says, hey, check out this rental house. You make it very clear it's an investment. Anybody want to invest in this rental house? Here's what the cash flow has been like. Here's how much rent has been. Here's what some of the expenses are. Here's what the gross margin profit could be. You start to walk through some of the terms, because if they see that you presented that, that's now in their head. And if they run into anybody who's going to be an investor, they decide they want to be an investor, or they're already an investor, they're like, oh, I forgot Angela does investment property, right? Do you have that kind of in your mix of the either social media or any kind of mail outs or anything you're putting in front of your people?
so I'm actually have a duplex coming up, most likely for sale. And I have already started working on the strategy for that, because that is a great opportunity for a first-time investor to buy a duplex, live in one side, and rent out, and the other side's already rented out. Um, so I've already started working on that. And yes, so that would be a great opportunity to share that with my PCSOI, share it on social media, and then also add something about if you're interested in investing, I'd love to help you, let's set up a call or just let me know. And so, yes, again, I could do a better job of it. It's one of those, I've been pretty busy this year. So, uh, I think that I'll be able to work in and coordinate a lot more marketing here in the next quarter for things like that.
I really like this idea that you're bringing this duplex to market. You mentioned the idea of living in one side, renting out the other, which is a great idea, especially for a younger person coming up. Um, when you do the presentation of the property in your marketing, I recommend one that you share that idea, live in the one side, rent out the other. And then I recommend you say you got two options here. One is live in one side, rent out the other. The other option is rent out both sides and be the investor and run the numbers both ways. They're going to see you have a vision and you'll go out to different people. For instance, if someone in your PCSOI sees that, they're like, well, I don't want to sell my 5,000 square foot house and move into a duplex, but I could see myself buying the duplex for the rental income, right? So that's why I'm thinking present it both ways. But their kid who's living in the 5,000 square foot house, who's never owned a home, is be like, oh, I'd love to buy one half and rent out the other. My grandpa did that, or my uncle, or my aunt, or whoever, right? And they've got this idea in their head that, yeah, that would work. So kind of presenting the two offers. If you're on social media, you could do it as a static piece, but you could also do it in video where you're explaining here are the two options. Anyway, I just think it would be kind of powerful to spin that. Anybody else have any ideas they'd like to play with this? It's become our investor focused meeting, right? Thank you so much, Angela, by the way. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, Angela, that's great that you have this duplex listing coming up. I happen to remember a listing that I had last year that was a complete rehab project. I mean, this house was bad. And I made a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live tour of that house. I went through that house and made a great video going through, but I was on the video, it was very evident. I'm saying this has got to be fixed. This has got to be fixed. The floor was caved in one of the rooms. I mean, you couldn't even walk in the room. In fact, I said on the video, if you come here, I've cleared out enough space in between all the junk so you can walk through the house to at least see the house, but don't go in this room. It's like don't step in there, just look in there. Um, and of course, that generated a lot of interest. And I'm realizing now that that did help remind people or position me as, hey, I could help somebody that wants to flip a house or whatever. But it directly helped me get another listing because that house went under contract in one day. And I ended up getting another listing later from someone who needed to sell their property. And they said, I saw that video of you with that clunker house where the floor was caved in, and I thought if you can sell that thing, you can sell this house. So it helped me in many ways now that I'm thinking back on it. It didn't bring me necessarily, well, I mean, obviously an investor bought that, but they were represented by an agent. That wasn't the main thing. It just kind of positioned that I can sell a lot of different types of property. So just the fact that you would really show off this duplex shows a whole different aspect. You're not saying, hey, it's beautiful, come live here. I mean, you might say that, but you're really saying there's a lot of good investment opportunity here.
Mm, yeah, I love that. Exactly. And social media is so powerful. It really is. People are seeing it. They don't always like it or comment it, but a lot of people are looking at it. Mm.
Cool.
And I like your idea too, Mike. I will definitely, you have options. So yeah, you can do this or this, and this is what that would look like because that's our job is to show the possibilities and show people that they can do it too. So awesome.
Option A, option B. Option A, option B. Yeah. Cool. Well, Angela, good luck with that. Good luck with the closing. Good luck with the duplex coming up. Good luck with all the investors. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Thank you for opening up and sharing. Let's do this. Let's continue with any good news. Anybody else have any good news you'd like to share? Well, Angela had the best good news of the day, I guess, and that's good. Blake, did you have
She
something you'd like
did.
to share?
She did. I was kind of forgot. Did I have anything good happen to me? Because that was also so fun listening to Angela's story. Um, I think the good news that I would share is that I am getting closer to closing a property next week. We've got a closing set for next week, and that we've gotten through all the contingencies and moving forward with that. And that's always a good thing, as you know. And this is with some out of town. The owners are out of town, they're investors from out of town. And it was a cold lead from I shouldn't say cold lead, it was a warm lead because, but it was an internet lead.
Yeah, that lead came from, if I recall, realty.com, which was
That's
a
correct.
connection with your brokerage, Epic Realty. And they give those to you for free. You're able to connect in. So that was a free lead with no referral fee and no cost to you, correct?
Correct. It's interesting you say that because I was working on requesting my commission disbursement authorization, and it has a lot of options for referral fees and all, who all has to be paid. No, I don't have a lot of other people I got to pay on that one. It's coming to me in my brokerage.
And that's sweet. That's a sweet deal. Um, Thank you for sharing, Blake, and congratulations on the closing and the upcoming closing.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be able to celebrate next week. It looks like.
That's awesome. 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 Hey, Tristan, you got any good news you'd like to share?
Um, I would say the good news is for me is I got a bit more, I simplified my business plan and got a bit, not a bit, way more clear on what I need to stay focused on and do. I think in the last call, after I was reflecting on it, I realized I'm kind of had too many different things I was trying to get done in terms of like recruiting or this many transactions or making this amount of money. But I just got more simple and just really distilled it into just one thing. So that's some good news for me, just more clarity in my business.
I like that. Clarity is incredibly important and helps hyper focus us. Could you share with us what the one thing is? What did you reduce it to?
So it's just the amount of doors that I need to knock this year before the year is done. And
And
then
now you
every day
said
I
the
just
total number of
update.
doors for the year. Did you reduce it to like a week or a day or what your goal is each day?
No, not yet. But my my in my what I'm thinking is to continue to build up my stamina and my so every week I've been experimenting with different things and like just refining my approach and figuring out like how I can make a consistent rhythm. And so yeah, that was my latest, I guess, development and experiment is just getting rid of everything else in the business plan. Like obviously do my monthly newsletter, but just focus on increasing my total number of doors that I've knocked.
I think you're going to have a lot of good results with that. Whenever we hyper focus on one thing, we get that. I think Angela had mentioned that earlier. Whatever you focus on, you get more of. She's focused on investors over the years, and that's what she gets more of. It's pretty good. Um, I think you mentioned, I think I saw in one of your reports that one of maybe a week ago you had knocked on a door and it ended up being a listing presentation. Is that right? I keep
Yeah,
wanting to follow up and I keep forgetting to follow up. What happened?
I knocked on a door. It was on like maybe last week, Wednesday. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, we're actually thinking of selling a house, but I've already verbally committed with another agent." And I was like, "Okay, well, have you signed anything?" And she's like, "No, not as of yet, but I do want to, stay true to my word." And I was like, "Well, if you ever change your mind or need a second opinion, I would love the opportunity to take a look at your home and let you know what I can do for you and your family." And then I gave her my card. And then later on in the evening, that same day, she texted me to come over and take a look. And I was like, "How about tomorrow?" And she's like, "That works." So then I went over the day after, and then at the end of walking through, I asked if they were gonna hire me, and she said yes. And then we signed the agreement.
That's awesome. Tristan, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's break that down just for a quick second. I think a lot of agents would have quit when the lady said, "Oh, I've already committed to somebody else. I've already committed to another agent. Now you did the follow-up. Well, have you signed anything?" She said, "No, but I'm going to be true to my word." And again, a lot of agents would have quit right there. I might have walked away. You stayed in the pocket. You stayed right there, and you said, "Well, I'd love to be an alternative for you, right? I'd love to give you a second opinion if that's something you're interested in." And not only did you do that and say that, where I assume you can tell me if this is true, she was kind of maybe nodding her head no, and I'm okay. You didn't stop. You handed her a way to get back in touch with you. You gave her a business card, yeah?
Yeah.
And look at what happened. Yeah. So that shows persistence. Right? So many times we have to be persistent. We don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to be a pest, but persistence. And you were persistently offering value, another way to help her, right? Like the second opinion. It's a great answer, by the way, the second opinion, even if they don't take you up on it at that point. Let's say you had said, "Hey, I'll give you a second opinion." You gave her a CMA, you walked through, you met with her, and she said, "Yeah, but I gotta use this other person." You're like, "Hey, I understand." And she does. And then in our market today, there's a lot of expires. So in a month or two or three from now, it expires. and she calls you back up. I used this other agent that didn't quite work out, but I think maybe we should have used you. Do you mind coming over and taking, and then go from there. So again, it's not over until it's over, right? How many times have we said that on this call? I think Blake
Mm,
had that back a while, right? You just keep moving, that was in the negotiation, if I remember. All
yeah.
right. Well, that's fantastic news, Tristan. Thank you so much for sharing. We had some great, good news today. We've eaten up a big chunk of our time. Let me do this. Let me open up. Do we have any burning questions or burning issues that we need to address where we have the group together? Blake, did you have something? Oh, I thought you had something there.
Yeah, I thought I did, and then I thought, no, that's not necessary.
Well, if you do, we're here for you. We got the time set aside. So anybody chime in. Again, if you have any questions, issues, challenges, something that's nagging at you, or do you just want to share a victory? It's a
You have
great,
some good news, Mike? I had a
yeah.
question actually too. You did an acronym yesterday. I didn't know what it was in regards to your postcards that you sent out.
Yes, go ahead. What was that?
I don't know.
I think I know what it is. Let me pull it up. You're talking about the accountability report?
Yeah, you sent out like almost 300 postcards, right? But
I think it was the MOFIR,
yeah.
MOFIR, MOFIR. Yeah, it's a make offer for immediate response. Make offer for immediate response. Is that what you're referring to?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's a little project I'm starting to work on. Thanks for asking, Tristan. And my background is direct mail. So I'm playing with a lot of direct mail, and I'm currently playing with that some more right now in both postcard and letter format. And there's a thing out there that's been that received a lot of hot interest over the last 5 years. I think it's cooling down a little bit, but when the market heated up, a thing called the golden letter. Anybody hear of the golden letter? Okay, the golden letter is just to make a simple offer out there to the general public, a one-line offer. Basically, if I get this right, the line is, would you it'd be, hey, Tristan, are you interested in selling your property at 123 Elm Street to a client of mine? If so, give me a call at this phone number. Okay, so that's a MOFIR. You're making an offer for an immediate response. You're basically saying, hey, if you're interested in selling your home right now, call me. Otherwise,
Mm.
don't. Okay, so that's why it's kind of unique. It's not generic farming, as an example, where you're just creating a relationship, or what we do with our PCSOI, which is so much of creating the relationship and building a relationship. This is more hunting. Like, I am looking for a deal right now. Okay, and that's the idea of it. This make offer for immediate response. And there's a multitude of ways to do it, but this is one of the formats. Another example would be, so that's an example of, hey, I got a buyer, and it's like a buyer need. And if you're and your home meets this match, and if you're thinking about selling, give me a call, because I may be able to match this up right away. Angela was talking about off-market properties earlier. Same idea, right? Trying to make a match right away. She was talking about investors. This is just, hey, I'm trying to make a match with my buyer. The other thing you can do is, if you have it, and a lot of us have access to it today, which is, we may have an investor pool in the background, like Angela has an investor pool, but you also have these companies that will buy a property for cash, right? So you can make that type of offer as a MOFIR. And I'm just spitballing this, you'd say, in your promotion, however it is, whether you're meeting them at the door, you're on the phone, you're doing it through mail, you're doing it through social media, all those social medias kind of, where it's more like direct, where you're talking about a specific property, and you'd say, hey, Tristan, if you would like to receive a cash offer at your property at 123 Elm Street, give me a call. Phone number is blank. So that's a MOFIR. Boom. You're offering them an immediate cash offer. So like, you have an investor in your pocket who's making cash offers in an area, that would work. or if you're working with one of these companies that they're making cash offers all over the place, and you happen to have a connection with them where they would be your client if you brought them something, that would be an example where you could make that offer of a cash offer. Because there are people out there, they don't want the complication of the MLS and showings and all that. They want an immediate cash offer, and they want to just clear out of this property for whatever their reasons are. And it would take 30 minutes to talk about all the variety of reasons. But those are another example of a MOFIR. Make sense? Make offer for immediate response. Okay, I got a client who wants to buy. Do you want to sell? I got a client, and just more specific, really, I got a client who's paying cash. Do you want to sell for cash?
Okay, I
those are
got you.
MOFIR offers. I used to do in the mortgage business, which I owned a mortgage business as well, and I used to make MOFIR offers for refinances. So I'd say, I'd send a letter. We did a lot of letters, sent over 1 million letters. We sent a letter and it'd say, hey, and we know information about them. And we'd say, hey, your property at 123 Elm Street, my understanding is your mortgage balance is blank and your current interest rate is blank and your payment is blank. And we can now refinance you down to this interest rate and your new monthly mortgage payment would be blank. Would you like to get that? That's the MOFIR. Hey, do you want this new, reduce everything I just said to, hey, do you want this new monthly mortgage payment of blank? Then give me a call. That was the MOFIR. It's just we had to give a lot of explanation because of all the disclosures you need to make when you're making an offer for financing. So there was a lot of information in there, but the basic, and by the way, we made it bold and giant of, hey, this is what the new monthly payment would be if you refinance today, right? Assuming all these other things are still true. And that worked really well. We'd send out 1,000 and we would get a couple people to call us and we'd end up refinancing one of them and then all the numbers made sense. So you're and that's the idea with this MOFIR is you're doing a large blast out to a group of people. You're expecting a small percentage to reply, but the people that do are very motivated and they're ready to do something right now. Okay, so this is the difference, Tristan, between prospecting and marketing, right? You are out there prospecting, meeting one by one, do. Marketing is going out to a whole bunch of people and trying to get a few people to respond that you then now you have to follow up really hot with them, but that's what's going on there. That's the difference. And so people will look at that and say there's more leverage in marketing, which there is, but there's also a lot more risk because you're spending a ton of money to make that happen. What you're doing is you're building up one by one, you're building up more relationship. Like, so the approach to MOFIR offer is a shotgun. You're just trying to hit something. You're kind of in and out really fast. You're not building long-term relationships. Now you can after they become a client if you're smart, but these people are motivation is just go find something. They're eating today. They want to eat today, right? They're trying to go out there. Whereas you're building this database, right? That's, I think, was kind of your turning point in the door knocking is you realized, hey, I'm not only doing the MOFIR, do you want to sell your house today? But I'm really doing the relationship. Hey, that's the beauty of being in front of people. You can react, right? Which you can't do in the letter I just explained. It's just a one-shot thing. But when you're out the door, you're able to react to people and say, hey, do you want to sell your home today? No, hey, no problem. Well, most people don't. By the way, why don't we stay in touch? I really like you, and I think you like me. Great. And then you kind of build that relationship with them for when they want to sell. And that's why you're building that database of people that are interested in you. Or there are people in the very middle of that, by the way. I want to sell today to I never want to sell. There's a lot of people in the middle of, yeah, I'm not going to sell today, but I might sell in 3 years. My daughter will be graduating from high school and we're thinking about downsizing. Okay, now I got a long-term lead, but it's in a short time period, 3 years. It's not like 30 years. And then you follow up with those people. And everybody has a different idea of what would qualify as a lead. How long out before you wouldn't talk to them? Some agents say, anybody that I meet and I have a good relationship, I'm going to keep them in my database and I'm going to keep following up with them. Some agents say only if they're a year or less. or maybe 3 years or less, or 2 years or less, or 6 months or less, or 30 days or less, right? They all have a different variation of on a scale, but it's not the ends, the absolute ends of I'm moving today or I'm never moving.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely makes sense. I feel my brain expand. I just learned some new insight into my business. I like what you're saying about the prospecting and the marketing. It's I never really zoomed out to look at it like that, but that's some good insight. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome, Tristan. And it all came from a question. I want to point this out. You are not afraid to ask a question. Most people are. Most people are afraid they're going to look dumb if they ask a question about something they don't know, right? And that's why most people then will be quiet and they won't ask. You said, hey, what the heck was that term you had written down, Mike? This MOFIR thing, right? See, most people believe that won't ask because they don't want to look dumb. They're like, oh, I should know what MOFIR means. No, you shouldn't know what MOFIR is. I didn't even remember that term until just a couple days ago, right? When somebody else used it, I'd completely forgot it. So anyway, don't be afraid to ask questions when you're in a learning environment. Don't forget to ask questions when you're at the door, right? You're knocking on the door. You're trying to learn about these people. Take an extra minute to learn more about them. Take an extra 5 minutes. If you've got somebody talking to you, you could stand there and talk to them for 30 minutes, an hour. You're learning about them. You're building a relationship, and they may be able to send you an investor friend of theirs who ends up sending you basically 25 closings over this section of your career, over 12, 13 years, like happened to Angela. You don't know what's going to happen by building that relationship at the door. How'd you like that, Angela? I pulled it full circle all the way around.
Great job. Great job, everybody. I mean, this has been a really good call, and I didn't know what MOFR was, but I think I just kind of glanced over it. So thank you, Tristan. Now I know.
Good job. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. That was a fun call today. Thank you for participating. I hope this was beneficial in some way. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and we're going to end the production call. And now let's go into our huddle real quick. Number one thing you did yesterday to move your business forward. Number one thing you're going to do today. Who would like to start?
Number one, I'll start. Number one thing yesterday was the appointment with the buyer that was in my sphere. And number one thing for today is door knocking, prospecting, and that's it.
Cool. And Tristan, do you have a certain number of doors you want to knock on or a certain amount of time you want to knock?
Yeah, today I want to hit 200 doors. So we'll see.
That is fantastic. Now, have you ever hit 200 doors before?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I know you have. I want everybody to know that. That's incredible. What's the most number of doors you've hit on a day?
I don't know. Less than 300, I know that. So that's my next goal, but in the high 200s.
You keep doing that, and you're just increasing the probability of a win, right? You know that intuitively, but that's why you need to track all those numbers. You'll just get it down to a science after a while. But as you talk to if you knock on 200 doors, how many conversations will you have?
Maybe 60 something.
Yeah. So you even know that. Just you know it because you've been doing it for so long. I've been watching your stats. I think it's higher. I think it's around 40%. I think you're going to talk to about 80 people today. That's incredible.
I hope so.
80 people that own homes, right? That's amazing. What other agent could we get on the call right now who's going to talk to 80 people today who own a house? That's the beauty of your model. Boom, 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 boom. And there's nothing better than the face-to-face. Again, because you can react, you can change, you can adjust. You can see what their body language is, where you can't see it over the phone or through a letter or social media. You got all these powerful things working in your behalf while you're at the door. I'm really happy and excited for you.
Thanks, Mike. I didn't realize that. Thanks for that perspective.
Yeah, it's incredible. Good job, Tristan. Keep up the good work. All right, who else would like to tell us what their number one thing is they're going to do today? Well, number one thing they did yesterday to move the business forward. Number one thing today.
Quick question for Tristan. Do you leave something at the door, on all of those doors, or are you only leaving something with the people that answer?
Yeah, I leave something at all the doors.
So I just had the thought that to mail something, to mail a postcard to all of those doors would cost how much, Mike? 200 doors a day.
Yeah, it depends on how you're doing the mail outs, but anywhere from 50 cents to $1 a piece. And that's if you're doing it wisely. Yeah.
So if we say $150 a day, you're paying yourself to go walk and meet people and get to meet some of them in person. So that's a pretty good plan there.
Are you doing a door hanger, Tristan? What are you doing? What you said you're leaving? What are you leaving?
My business card, but I changed my business card to kind of look like a flyer on the back. So in the sense of like it says like what I do and my services and kind of what differentiates me. And then on the other side, it's kind of more of a traditional business card.
Cool. I'm going to try to plus that up for you. By the way, I love that you're doing the both sides of the card. Um, I, I just thought of somebody who was doing door knocking and they had a super high success rate with using a MOFIR on the back of the business card. What they do is they flip the business card over and they write with their hand a handwritten note, a quick little handwritten note. And it basically says, if you'd like to sell this property, give me a call. But it's handwritten. Okay. So it's handwritten. By the way, you can do that now. You could make it look handwritten and actually print it out on the cards. But it's a handwritten note that just says, if you're interested in selling this home, give me a call. It's your business card. So the other side has your phone number and everything on it. It's only a couple quick notes and you stick it on the door. The person that receives that is like, oh, yeah, they can have all kinds of different reactions. They could say, I was just thinking about selling my home and give them a call. Boom, that's gold. They could say, why is he leaving this on my door? Does he have somebody who wants to buy my house? You just get the superpower of you're at the door. You understand what I just said? You just got this
Mhm.
business card. You flip it over. You say, if you're thinking about selling your house, give me a call. The
Okay.
person on the other side, put yourself in their shoes. They just read that note. What are they thinking? Why is he giving me this message? Does he have somebody who wants to buy my house? I better give him a call if you're interested in selling. The people who are interested in selling, your avatar, the person that you want to bump into, the 1 to 2% of the people, 1 out of 100 that Angela's bringing up, you didn't get to talk to them because they didn't answer the door or they weren't home. But now they see your message and it says, hey, if you want to sell this home, give me a call. And they're like, yeah, how does he know that? I'm actually thinking about selling my home. Did my neighbor send him over here? Did my cousin send him over here? How do they know? I'm just telling you, all this stuff is going to go through their head if they're in the zone of I want to sell my home. And what Angela's
Mm.
saying is, if you drop that on every door, you're going to 200 doors today. Statistically, a couple of people in that 200 are probably thinking about selling their home. But you didn't get to talk to all of them, although you're talking to a very high percentage, but you didn't get to talk to all of them because they don't all answer or they're not there. By leaving that card or a door hanger or something, but the card is really personal and powerful if you're already doing it. Um, just something to think about. And you're like, oh, Mike, I don't want to write out 200 of those. Again, that's where you can use the technology. You could actually just go write it out when you're handwriting in blue ink and then just have them print that on the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you start to play with this idea. It depends on how are you putting it up on the door? Are you just putting it in a crevice? Are you taping it to the door? What are you doing?
That's a cool question. So like on most doors, like where I live, there's like a piece of foam that buffers between the door and the frame. And I always put it like right there resting on top of the lock. So it's like right when they put in their key, they see my face and my card.
Got it. Um, and does everybody enter through the front door? Like, do they come in through a
Most people
garage and
when
they
they
won't see it?
but yeah, but you'll also see it when you're driving up if you look at your door. because my card's quite like
Or
a
it's
bright
going to
color.
fall out when they open the door, right? They go out to get the
That too.
newspaper. That's how old I am. They they go out to do whatever outside. They open the door and it falls out. Um, okay, good. And then another thing to experiment with down the line is the door hanger. You just throw up a door hanger,
So what
right?
I discovered with that, Mike, is if people see something in my hand other than my notebook, they just they don't want to give me their information. They instead want to take what I have. So when I was taking it, for example, too many business cards, and they would see the business cards in the hand, they'd be like, "Oh, just give me the card." But now that I like hide it behind my notebook, they're like, "Okay, yeah, I'll give you my email." And then, oh, by the way, boom, I pull out my card at the end. So I
So you
realized
can
like I
do
got
all
kind
kinds of
of
things to play with that, Tristan. And you're already discovering you could camouflage it behind your pad. You could have them in a back pocket. You could have them in a coat pocket. I don't know how you're walking around. You might have a backpack. You have it in a backpack. I'm just trying to think. Your fanny pack. Oh, there's got to be a way that you can work through that. Um,
okay, yeah, I'll keep thinking.
because the
I'll
power
try
of
this.
what Angela just said is so big. Let me I know I'm eating up a lot of time, but this is such a cool idea. If you are knocking on 200 doors a day in a week, that's 1,000 doors. If you make a MOFIR on each one of those, statistically, 1,000 MOFIRs equals one listing. Listen to what I just said, Tristan. Let's go through that again. You knock on 200 doors a day. You leave your MOFIR offer or hand the MOFIR offer to all of them that answer. Now that's 200 MOFIR offers out there. Would we agree on that? If you do that 5 days in a row over the course of a week, that's 1,000 MOFIRs. And statistically, once you get your MOFIR dialed in, 1 in 1,000 will list with you. You'll get a listing out of 1 in 1,000. You could get a listing a week. How'd you like a listing a week? 50 a year, just by
And you
knocking on the 200 doors a day. Plus all the amazing conversations you're going to have. It's probably your stats are going to go way higher than a traditional MOFIR offer. See, a traditional MOFIR offer is you're sending it by mail. And so not everybody's reading it. They're dropping it in the can. All right. It's going pretty quick. And through that, you're going to get 1 in 1,000. All right. By the way, some people have gotten 1 in 300, but that was when the market was super fast. More statistically is about 1 in 1,000. That seems to play out over a long period of time. All right. With you door knocking and having conversations with 40 out of 100 or 30 out of 100, whatever it is, your stats actually going to go up because you can react. You can talk to them about the MOFIR offer. You say, hey, have you thought about selling your home? I've got somebody in the area that's thinking about buying. They go, oh, it's amazing. I was just telling my husband or my wife that I was just thinking about selling my house. And you're like, really? Okay. Tell me more about that. Now you're in a conversation. Now you should spend 10, 20 minutes talking to them. Find out exactly what's going on. Set up an appointment, right? To come back later that day. Anyway, Angela just clicked on something extremely powerful for you that I guess we had addressed because you're talking about the back of the card. But if you turn that into a MOFIR offer, tell me what the MOFIR offer is, Tristan.
if you want to sell this home, give me a call.
That's it. It's so simple, isn't it? And you're like, yeah, most people are going to say no. Yep. I'm not looking for most people. I'm looking for that 1 in 1,000, maybe 2 in 1,000 that are say, yeah. Okay. And in your market, because of the seasonality of it, it may even be better than 1 or 2 in 1,000, right? Because most people are probably selling during the warm seasons rather than the cold. You're up in Canada. So it may be incredibly powerful. You're basically doubling your odds of winning. One, by having a conversation with them. Two, they get the MOFIR offer and they call you. Angela, good job.
And by actually going out there and delivering it versus mailing it, you're saving money, you're paying yourself, you're going to get a better conversion because of the people that you meet face to face. So
This is a
awesome.
cheap add-on. Almost zero cost to you. Almost zero cost to pick up another listing. Angela is brilliant. So if you have a business card, what's a business card? A penny, a couple pennies, right? That's what Angela's saying. It's going to cost you a couple bucks a day to do this. Whereas if you had to do it like me through the mail, it's costing bucks, right? It's costing up to $1 a piece. You're doing it for a penny a piece. You're going to blow me away. You're going to be able to do it forever. Your budget is unlimited, right? It's just your time. You're just walking around. You're doing the time anyway. Just drop those things. And it might get you motivated out there to do even more. As soon as you start to see those results, we're gonna have a hard time keeping you from walking those neighborhoods. Yeah. Sweet. All right.
Awesome.
Good job. Good job, Tristan. Good job, Angela. Now, Angela, you had moved over to Tristan and you hadn't told us what your huddle information is. Number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing you're going to do today to move your business forward. You just gave Tristan a massive golden nugget worth maybe 100,000, 200,000, $3 million. What do you think?
I hope so. I cannot wait to see. I mean, Tristan, you're just growing and it's evolving, and I'm so glad that I get to be a part of this journey with you every day. And for me, yesterday, I had a couple tough conversations, but I also got a referral, and I haven't gotten to speak with them yet, but that was really awesome. So I did follow up with that referral, and I'll follow up again today. And then today, I'm doing a final walkthrough on a house, and that was one of the tough conversations I had yesterday, was trying to make somebody comfortable with the process that maybe doesn't understand how things work now. But yeah, so I'm doing the final walkthrough, and I believe that we'll get it closed tomorrow. So I have a closing today, and then I have a closing tomorrow.
Well, that's a fantastic double day. Yeah. A closing a day. Why don't we just have that as the new motto? A closing a day.
I wish.
Good job, Angela. That's
Way to go,
fantastic.
Angela.
What a great week. All right, Blake, you got number one thing you did yesterday, number one thing you're going to do today?
Well, it's funny. I'll go with number one thing that just happened during the middle of this call. So, I had to disappear for a moment. I was on the radio in Chattanooga. They called me to talk about something unrelated to real estate, but then we also got to talk about real estate. Got to talk about the market in Chattanooga, what's going on, and got to talk about how to reach me as a realtor and how my real estate business is going. So that was all live on the radio just moments ago. So that's pretty
So
cool.
you were on
Oh,
the
that's so
radio
cool.
just a few minutes ago doing
Yeah,
the
I was on
call.
the talk. I was on the talk radio station 10 minutes ago, right up until
Wow.
the top of the hour.
So cool.
I saw you talking, but I didn't realize you were on the radio.
Yeah, that's they called me to talk about something, and so we did. And anyway, I just thought that was funny. That what an odd thing. Here we are talking about production, and I'm talking to radio listeners throughout Chattanooga at that time in my market.
What
That's
question were
thousands
you
and
asked?
thousands of people, right?
What's that now?
That's thousands and thousands of people you're talking to just now, right?
Well, yeah, probably so. Actually, that particular show is probably reaching thousands. Yeah, it is. It's a very well listened to show.
That's
What
so cool. Way
question
to
were
go,
you
man.
asked?
Well, we talked about some stuff just from about Elton John actually, but then but then after that, there because I had a story with Elton from way back when, but then they said, hey, I know you changed careers. I see you're a realtor, and I see your Facebook stuff and all that, and so tell us about how that's going. How's that job going? Are you able to eat, or are you just having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? So, we were having fun, but we got to talk about all that and then got to talk about the market conditions in Chattanooga. So that was good. We got to talk about some market conditions and then they, of course, were thoughtful enough to give me the opportunity to tell people how to connect with me if they'd like to.
That's fantastic. How did you tell them to connect with you?
I used my website because it is radio. It traditionally a phone number is a lot harder to do that, so I just use my website, which is athomechattanooga.com. So I thought, well, that's an easy way to find me.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Blake. That's fantastic news.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So that was yesterday or today, I guess. And then what I've got coming up, my most important thing that I'll be doing is I am going to be following up with a referral that I was given last week, and I asked the person to speak to a lender that we gave them the lender name, and I understand that has happened, so I'm going to follow up and go from there. It's a
That's
buyer
perfect.
lead. Yeah.
Good luck on that, Blake.
Thank you.
All right, cool, cool. Well, I'll wrap this up. Let's see. Yesterday, I worked on. I made some dials. I struggled to do the dials, but I made 10 and got back in the game. And then I've also been working on MOFIR pieces, which I described in this call. And today, I'm bringing that all together with a list that I've been sorting out, and so I can make more MOFIR offers as well as dial outs. And now I'm wondering if I should go knock doors with Tristan so I can make even more MOFIR offers for no money, almost zero cost, right? That's amazing. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Hope you have a wonderful and productive rest of your day.
Good luck today, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
Bye. Thank you guys.